All right. It says we're live, but I'm going to check and make sure because we love you too, Susan, you cunt. Yeah, okay, we're actually live, and that is excellent. We love you, Susan. All right. So, I never actually got around to putting the description together because not a whole hell of a lot happened this week that's worth talking about until this morning. This morning, I'm actually sitting outside work trying to think, Jesus, what am I going to talk about? Okay, wait a second. I got something I could talk about. Oh, and I got something else. Okay, great. So I sent them to myself as a text to myself. And then lunch, I saw this. Let me make sure everything lined up perfectly. Close enough. Motherfucker. Oh, yeah. All right. And here we go. I think we've got the point now. Wrong button. There we go. Read this out loud. Worst active shooter ever. Dude gets lit up immediately after shooting out the glass doors and entering Turnberry Towers in Las Vegas. That's from Donut News Network. Okay, donuts. There's an ongoing joke about donut operator and angry cops and involving DNN. But moving right along, in the meantime, I want to point out that this proves something that gun control experts have been saying never ever happens. It's absolutely false. He went into the building with the intention of shooting everybody, and he got absolutely nowhere. Why? Because the mail clerk, it may have been the mail clerk, it may have been the front desk, I don't give a shit, lit him up like the 4th of July. They absolutely blew him away. Do not tell me that this was not a mass shooting just because there were literally no victims. All right. This would have ended as yet another mass shooting, but one guy with a gun ended it before it had a chance to start. Okay. I'm going to switch my topics up a little bit. My two subjects for today were automatic weapons and Renfro live streams. Renfroism and live streams. We're going to do automatic weapons first. It was asked why I'm so resistant to just totally repealing NFA and letting freedom ring. Well, because 99% of you jackasses can't handle a fucking automatic weapon. I have handled an automatic weapon. That's how I know you can't. You will shoot everything except the thing you were looking at. It's as simple as that. even in such unusual circumstances as the Clackamas Town Center shooting, where it appears that the shooter was largely isolated, you will absolutely shoot somebody you didn't mean to. The other one, much more recent, there's actually footage of it. Guy went into the head, took selfies of himself getting ready to go on his mass shooting with his COVID mask perfectly in place, walked outside, shot one person, and then some guy from 40-ish feet away put a whole clip in him. That one. As well and good as he did, 2 of his shots missed. On automatic, 2 of his shots would have connected. The rest of them, we may still be looking for one of them. The fact of the matter is 99% of you cannot handle an automatic weapon. It's as simple as that. I want to underscore this. Not Lee Atwater. Dr. Atwater, who was a Marine in Vietnam, described the M4. Hey, Squatch. Described the M14. First shot, you're on target. Second shot, you're over his head. Third shot, you're an anti-aircraft gun. This is a guy who actually had used the M14 in combat. There's video from Forgotten Weapons of Ian shooting an M14 in automatic. Yeah, it's pretty much jumping the way that Dr. William Atwater described. All right. It's bad. I'm going to let you in on another little secret. That's the reason why the Army switched over to the burst fire M16. Why they went 3-round rather than 5, I don't know. It's not that big a deal, right? There's much better fish to fry in the universe. Even professional soldiers were having trouble controlling the M16 on automatic. Oh. Okay. Yeah, folks, I forgot to add the chat to the stream, and I'm going to be removing something from the chat before I add it to the stream. It does not necessarily need to be there. No. Just there. Damn. Fucking Susan wants me to ban you, Squatch. Okay. Oh, no. Stay. I had no intention of leaving the studio yet. No. Other way, guys. Give me a second, guys. This is kind of par for the course around here, though, isn't it? Whatever. You'll just have to suffer, guys. Because I know you're crying inside. All right. Squatch, you and Swiss missed me showing a mass shooting that was shut down before it had a chance to begin. But there's a link in the chat. Go check it out. Just it'll take you like 10 seconds. You'll miss 10 seconds. Believe me, I can cover the time. All right. So yeah, 99% of you you can't do it, right? Sorry, folks. There we go. Oh. All right, moving right along. Where was I? I'm perfectly fine with any lesser option, right? But that really only leaves semi-automatic or bolt action or revolver. Um, just accept your limitations, people. It's not like you're bad people, right? You're not evil. You're not even stupid. Special points to whoever uh, figures out where that came from first. It's just, you can't do it. I can't do it either. I'm not better than you. The 1% who can, well, 99% of the time, you will never learn their names. All right. I've never heard the real name of a proven Delta Force operator. Have you? I've met SEALs. Yeah. And I made a point of it to stare at their faces so I wouldn't see their name tags because I did not want to know their names. Remember, I'm kind of funny like that. If I don't know something, I can't repeat it. So I don't want to know things I don't need to know. Oh. Just accept it is what it is. Now, would you still be able to get automatic weapons? Yes. It's black letter. How the how to is black letter. You're gonna have to pay the fee, which is actual cost to government based on 5-year average, 5 previous year average, and go through a background check, and that's it. Elsewhere in the data slot, it talks about background checks and how long they can take, and what happens if the government fucks it up and doesn't get it done in time. There you go. I think I've covered all of that. Okay. So unless there's questions about that subject, or if anybody wants to go back and rewatch that beautiful, beautiful video from Turnberry Towers. Where does Donut say where that was? Oh, Las Vegas. It does. I had not heard about that until this morning. By the way, oh, actually, yeah, this late morning. What? Renfroism is a much more complicated subject, and I really do want to talk about this because it's important around here. All right. So getting to some reels here. Mama Carrie, before she met my dad, at least for a while, was going to a university or a college or something. I don't know. This is before I'm born, obviously. It's before they're married, obviously. Or they met. I think I might have said that part. Moving right along. She's taking a philosophy class. I remember that the class name is in the book. All right. I don't know why. I don't care why. 20 years later, they're happily married. I'm somewhere around 14, 15 years old. I find this old book in the family library, Philosophy by Renfro. Philosophy class name by Renfro, Alan Renfro. Can't remember if it's 1L or 2. It's not important here. I read the book. It covered to cover. I actually did read the book. A lot of it is very fantasy shit. In the book, he talks about how someday computers will be connected together, exponentially increasing the power of both. He also said something about the bronze goddess. Imagine two bronze goddesses cooperating in glorious computational power, some shit like that. He had a bad habit of writing that way, in these really prosaic terms that were, ironically enough, anti-Renfro. But moving right along. Now we call that the internet. My cell phone here has several orders of magnitude more computational power than a current day calculator, because there's a calculator in here, amongst other things. And yet a modern day calculator has more computational power than the Eagle landers. Actually, the entire Eagle system, the return capsule, the command module, the lander, all of that combined has less computational power than a modern day pocket calculator. I'm just saying, he was not comparing apples to apples. He was comparing the apples that he knew existed. But he also said, he did say that the computers will improve with time. In fact, he did say, just in my lifetime, we have seen an exponential increase. Okay, well, that means computers have gotten more powerful from the bronze goddesses he cited. That's not saying a whole lot. And that their combined powers will be exponentially more powerful. Well, I'm not sure if exponentially is a proper term, but they have gotten more powerful. He also said something very interesting. He predicted a day when people in a studio will broadcast live to an audience to speak on matters of great important. Maybe he said importance. That was like 30 years ago that I read the book, so bear with me here. Great import to the public discussion. Something like that. Whatever. Today we call that live streaming. Of course, he was talking about television channels. Okay, well, all right, great. The 80s called. They wanted to know how you got their playbook back then, and now the 80s call, they want their playbook back. All right. Obviously, things changed a little bit. He also predicted that this studio would be getting information and would get questions and inquiries from viewers, and suggested that the studio would have to have people collating the different questions that they were receiving by phone, by telex, by this, by that, by every other fucking method. And we'll have to get back to her in a minute. Babe, if it's important, text me. Otherwise, I'll get back to you in a minute. Where was I? Oh, that they would need people to collate the differing the different questions. Fucking scammers. A scammer is trying to impersonate the Naval Academy in a call to me. Yeah, I'm gonna fall for that. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. Now we call that the live chat. And by the way, some of these channels that I've seen could really use somebody collating their chat. Not moderators like Squatch and a couple others. I mean, somebody whose only job is to sit there and take these 10,000 questions that are all coming in at the same time, usually the same question 20 times, turn it into one question that the live streamer can answer for everybody equally. That would be really, really nice. It doesn't exist yet, right? Maybe it will someday. One of the problems is the internet is basically free to everybody equally. So everybody's going to ask the same question. You know, what color is the sky? Well, it's blue. You get the same question 50,000 times or 800 times, right? I mean, I'm no PewDiePie, but I can usually get one or two people in here. Yeah, it's going to be a mess. He correctly predicted that there would be live streaming. He correctly predicted live chat. 99, okay, let's say 90%. Correctly predicted live chat. And he correctly predicted that there would be a problem with all of this. There are 24 time zones on Earth, right? You've got to get everybody around the entire world working on the same idea. And if you don't know where everybody is, you can't be on the same time. This is where universal time comes in. Universal time was what he called the one time zone theory, based on Greenwich Mean Time. I remember he even said that he didn't know exactly how it came to pass. Well, I do. I know how Greenwich Mean Time became the 0 point. It's not important right now. It is what it is. But putting everybody on the exact same time so that it doesn't matter where on Earth you are, you say a time, everybody would know it's the same time for all of them. Simple. Okay. I happen to know that Squatch is 3 hours ahead of me. I work 9 to 5. He works 9 to 5. In our respective time zones. How's that going to work out? Well, I also know that Squatch is, I think, plus 4. So 9, 10, 11, 12. He would start work at 1300. Whereas I would start work at 1700. I did have the right calculation. No, I did not. Yes, I did. Doesn't matter. What matters is Squatch starts at 1300. I start at 1700. My buddy, my friend, Betty, she's an hour behind me. She starts at 1800 if we're all on that 9 to 5 schedule. That way, if Betty tells me that she's going to be starting work at 18:30 today, because they kind of adjusted her schedule. She does have a semi-flexible schedule because of the nature of her job. Um, I would still know. Okay, well, I'll have been at work for about an hour and a half then. So if she's going to get her first break after 2 hours, our two breaks aren't going to match. This is going to be a problem. I can't call her on her break, and she can't call me on my break. Well, we're going to have to reschedule to after work. You don't have to think. That was one of the things that Dr. Renfro was really trying to get to, is a society where people don't have to think about things they don't need to think about. They can be efficient, they can work better, and generally speaking, they'd be a lot happier. He was trying to take every unnecessary task out of people's lives. Now, that sounds like some commie shit, right? All right. Well, no. It's very weird. He was virulently anti-communist. He did not like communists at all. Okay, he called for the bombing of Moscow, Stalingrad, Leningrad, and two other cities that he specifically named, quote, and others now, rather than wait until the communist threat was out of control. Uh, in the foreword, he does talk about how this was the development of not his thesis, but it's a word I had to look up. It's basically a doctorate's final, right? Um, this book was the development of that, and that it said in the foreword that some things here are out of date. Oh, okay, that's that's fine. You know, like talking about bronze goddesses in the 1960s. Little bit old. They had probably been recycled by then. Excuse me, folks. I will get back to you. All right. Yes. Squatch, please. Ain't seen hide or hair of her in a year. Where was I? Renfroism. Hey, Ozzy, welcome. Didn't see you last week. Moving on. Renfroism would put everybody on that same timeline. We'd all understand what each other's saying. Now, this was also the time when Esperanto came along, and there's a couple of subtle hints that he may have been part of that crowd, but he was not a commie at all. Bombing of Stalingrad and Leningrad and Moscow and the others. Well, it was more of a It seemed more like he was talking about doing it before World War II ended, right? Yes, the Americans and Russians, Anglo-Americans and Russians had met up in Berlin. Great, good, let's go bomb Moscow now. Oh, okay. Oh, excuse me. So no, he was not a particular commie. Walter Davis, welcome. That's a name I know. Is it Fit and Fire's channel that I've seen you? All right. Ah, shit. One of these days, I'm gonna actually act like a professional, have shit squared away before I start. We are only at 30 minutes. I think that's it. Ah, shit on a stick. Of course, one of these days I'll actually be a professional and can do that sort of shit. Sit around at home, putting this shit together beforehand. That would be nice. As my sole source of income. Okay, that was the wrong one. Okay. I think we're ready. Catching up. Oh, Walter and Squatch are friends, so I've seen you on Squatch's channel then. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. We're on the same page now, Walt. Ozzy's talking about a spare squid, and I don't know what he's talking about. Right. Had the founders foreseen the future, they would have written a very different Second Amendment. A well protected public being necessary to the security of a free state. The duty of the people to keep and bear arms shall be enforced. The opportunity to make it so simple and eloquent is kind of come and gone. It's too late now. I'm doing the best I can with what's left. Perhaps if we had established in 1780s this version of the Second Amendment, my objections would be irrelevant. I'd be packing around a Mac 10 myself. We didn't do it. It's too late now. It's done. Okay, I'm vaguely aware of what Red Dwarf was. I don't know what Spare Squid is. I don't know about sub, and I really, really don't want to hear about submarines or submersibles for a couple days. All right, I've gotten literally crushed with memes about one in particular. Too soon? And yet, as I told a few people, I intend to be worse. Okay. Damn, we're only at 30 minutes in. Okay. Well, I'm going to present a different screen, so we're going to stop this one. We are going to present Windows Act 2. Yeah, StreamYard. Everybody knows I'm sharing a screen. Thanks. Okay. Title 2, General Provisions. Section 2, Intention of Act. The intention of this act is to provide a framework for the enforcement of the law by law enforcement of the United States and for lawful obedience to the act of the residents of the United States. People in the United States shall not be held hostage to antisocials who, being by description criminals, ignore gun laws. All legal residents of the United States are required to, at all times when not in their home or temporary domicile, possess a weapon as defined below. Okay, section 3 is actually definitions, and it's a little. I've done better writing. Hi, Swiss. I do see you there in the chat. Oops. Wait. Let's try that again. Mother. Present. Share screen. Yeah, we have a live Swiss Miss sighting today, folks. Oh. Okay. All right. Oh, Walter, there's a pinned chat. You want to go check that out. It was beautiful. Squatch, fuck you. You're on your own. You can't say you're a hostage when you're the one that kicked the door in. Where was I? Oh. All right. The real purpose of the streams is for people to ask on topic questions. I'm looking at you, Squatch. Looking at you. And Foss, but he's not here today. So. Oh, there she goes. Watch out, boy, she'll eat you up. All right, moving on. So please, for God's sakes, ask on topic questions. Until I start seeing a couple questions, I'm going to just kind of ramble, wax philosophic for a minute. Oh, it's been pointed out I use an unusual definition of assault weapon. Well, no. I use the definition that was intended in the 1920s and 30s when they're starting to try to understand what is the difference between a light machine gun and a heavy, permanently emplaced one, like an M240. No, an M2. Yes. So I really did finally say, okay, wait a second. All of these have these two things in common. Everything else has only really one thing in common. That's the delineation line. Okay. I hope Ozzy's being serious and he just had a stutter moment. Can somebody actually use an Uzi to hit the broad side of a barn? Yeah. And some people are really good at it. Some people can actually hit one guy standing next to another guy, one of them being a suspect or terrorist, the other being a hostage, and take out only the terrorist. Those guys are good. Like they are really, really scary good. And no, you can't, Squatch. You could hit the broadside of a barn if you were standing in it with an Uzi. At least Swiss Miss is honest about it. Yeah. Okay, Squatch. I want to see you do it. I want to see you do it. Okay. Now, we don't stand on spelling and grammar around here. Ozzy says, pardon the misspelling, but I meant it in the way I typed it. I heard claims that it can't be aimed. Yes, actually, it can be aimed. So, whoever told you that Uzi is that wild is, I know. No. I'm going to give them the extreme benefit of a very small doubt here that they're not lying, they're just mistaken. So I don't know who your friend is. I don't know where they got it from. No, Uzis are not that wild. They're not an M14, for God's sakes. Yeah, busting a myth. That's. I'm just gonna go with that for now. Heard it on TV. That's awesome. Okay, so what is the difference between an assault weapon and a machine gun? Well, think about this. What was the original machine gun's purpose? It was for sustained fire. Okay. Now, whether you count the puckle or not, whether you count the a Gatlin or not, I do. All right. It is what it is. They are the sustained fire, not necessarily rapid fire, which would be a different gun. The fuck was that the name of that gun? Basically, they stacked shots on top of one another. So, and the flint lock was way up forward. So you set the first one off, it goes off, and then it would set the one behind it off. It would go off, set the next one. And you loaded it once, you fired it once, and you walked away. That's rapid fire, as opposed to sustained fire. Okay. Ozzy, did you mean mice or mints? Because mints means something very different. Moving on. That's where the puckle is different, which, by the way, the puckle was the first weapon to ever have, as part of its patent application, the words machine gun. I believe it was written as 2 words, not 1, like I do. I'm spurgish about that. 1 word. The first practical battlefield machine gun was the Gatlin from the American Civil War. The rapidity is, I guess, compared to infantry weapons of the era, sure. The sustainability compared to the infantry weapons of the era, whereas, okay. And, okay, Ozzy, I'll get back to that in a second. It was able to do both. Compared to modern weapons, yeah, no, it's the Civil War era, Gatling is just totally outmatched. What about assault weapons? Well, they needed to be light so that one man could charge across no man's land or into enemy territory and take their dirt from them and their lives. During the World War I, they started out with submachine guns. It's a pistol caliber, a full-sized rifle that fires a pistol caliber. Submachine guns are basically gone now. The Uzi and one or two others are all that's in any real any real army, are the only ones that are still around. Well, why? Okay, full-size rifle rounds, which doesn't actually have a definition. It's just a large caliber, long, not even large caliber. It's just a long rifle round. Were impossible to be carried across the battlefield as a general rule. When somebody, I don't know who, came up with the idea of making the rounds smaller, they became suddenly much more portable. This is where the intermediate cartridge comes in. The intermediate cartridge really did kill the submachine gun. It's underpowered. It's as simple as that. It's underpowered on the battlefield today. That's why the M3 grease gun and the Thompson and basically all of the others except the Uzi, which the Israelis keep in service because they're stubborn, and that's their baby, and they're going to keep it forever. And the P90, which I don't even think is in any actual military service anymore. But it is in some special units uses. That's it. The rest of them are gone. They're just outmatched. All right, so what did all assault rifles, let's just go with assault rifle for a moment. What did all assault rifles have in common? Well, detachable box magazine and that automatic or burst fire capability. And the intermediate cartridge. Well, if you took out the definition, the intermediate part, what is the functional difference between that M3 grease gun, that Uzi, that M16 or AK-47, and that Shosho? Not a whole hell of a lot. That's what. Or for those of you that believe the myth, I'll just go with the BAR, right? If you take out the cartridge as your definition, they don't actually have all that much different. They may have different mechanical functions. Well, yeah, all of the ones I just described operate completely differently. So does a station wagon and a pickup truck. They both have engines. They both have 4 tires. But everything else that's the same is only the same because the law says so. The lights, the brakes, that sort. They may not even have the same working mechanism for the brakes. Trucks use air brakes for the trailer. Okay, I got to wrap this little bit of a rant up here. When I started looking at all of the submachine guns, the light machine guns, the assault rifles. They all had those two things in common that was different from literally everything else. That automatic and burst fire capability and the detachable box magazine. I dropped the box part and just kept the detachable magazine. I'm glad I did, because since then I've seen that there's been a couple of especially cylinder magazines. A cylinder as in revolver. Okay. So I've kind of fallen behind on the chat. A particularly advanced group of automatic weapons can actually pretty much fuck up a human being into a pile of meat. So that's true enough. I believe that your David Chouchette probably knew the duck walk, which is something I was trained in the service when I went to the port security unit, because we might have to go on security patrols outside the wire. I joined the Coast Guard because I didn't want to be hated camping and I didn't want to be in the infantry, and then they sent me to a port security unit. Going camping in the infantry, going camping. So, yeah. Funny how life works out. Okay. Ozzy wants to know, is there any practical reason to carry a chain gun by hand to fire it via chain feed versus mounted in real life? Well, we're going to have to split this up a little bit. Because chain gun has actually a specific subset of machine guns. Belt fed. A chain gun has some sort of motor system, usually an electric motor that runs it. But then again, he does say, thinking Jesse Ventura and Predator, so he might be talking about chain guns. For 90% of us, no. The 1% that do that sort of thing, like the Special Forces team in Predator, maybe. By the way, folks, I'm going to throw a little bit of something out there. Yes, there is a minigun that you can handle. I wish I knew this question was coming. I could have had it. Let me see if I can still get it. New tab. It is elsewhere on my channel, but I think that was a long, long time before Ozzy and me found each other. This one actually showed it. Okay, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to do that one. It's actually kind of what I have in mind. No. 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 Okay. I'm not going to find it right now. So, I'm going to have to go with this one's a little bit older. And hopefully I did manage to pause it in time. Okay, good. So we are going to stop screen. Present. Hide that. Presents. Share screen. Nope. There we go.
How'd that feel, Richard?
Sometimes you won't even see the holes on the front whenever something happens. That's pretty good.
Okay, I think you guys have got it, the hint by now, but just because I can and you can't stop me, Susan, I'm going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat. What are you going to do? Take away my birthday and spank me? Hell, one of the two I'll pay for. And then I wonder why I'm going to hell, right? All right. So, by the way, yes, it was Jesse Ventura. Okay, he was talking about belt fed and electric motor. For 99% of us, no. Actually, belt fed in general is just not practical for your purposes. Squatch is being spied on. I hope your NSA and my NSA agent are the same guy. Yeah, well, oops, wrong one. No, Swiss. We love Susan. We love you, Susan. You cunt. I'm sorry. Start what in the state capital there, Oz? Okay, moving on. Now, all right, assault weapons, machine guns would be restricted. Well, okay, what does that really mean? Well, it means you fill out a single sheet of paper that says who you are, where the guns will be, possibly where you live. You fill out, you make a payment based on the average actual cost, because believe it or not, having somebody take that information and put it into a computer, that costs money, right? Having it automated still costs money. They had to buy the equipment. Somebody has to maintain the equipment. It had to be programmed, right? All of those things do cost money. The electricity, believe it or not, the federal government doesn't get free electricity, or at least they're not telling us about it. All of these things do have costs, but that's it. That's all you do. Sasquatch, I'm sure, would have a nice big fat arsenal of AK-47s because he has A, no sense, and B, no taste. Shots fired moment. Okay, so folks, there's AK fanboys and there's AR fanboys. And we don't exactly get along as well as we could. Moving on. And I'm worse than most. But anyway, The where was I? But that's it. As long as you're not a prohibited person, your first time would be a little more difficult because they got to build a file on you for the first time in your life, right? After that, it's basically a 10-minute fingerprint check. Okay, this really is Caucasian Sasquatch. He has nothing in his file to say no. Here you go. That's it. I could predict that someday it would be over a $10 fee, but by then $10 would be about $1.50 today. Okay. Ozzy was talking to Squatch and he's being sarcastic. Hey, Luke, you made it. Folks, Luke, the nature of Luke's job, it's a miracle if he can make it at all. Like, we got more of a unicorn with Mitakayo ever being here. And she doesn't have that job issue. She has the other job issue. I have never seen Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister, so I have no idea what you're talking about, Ozzy. And Squatch can have whatever he wants, I guess. And okay, back up. I'm cut back up. I want to point something out because Ozzy brings up an interesting point. Easy to use and find parts for it. First of all, no, the AK is not that easy. Apparently, you've never handled one. Second of all, the legal questions. As long as you have the weapon itself legally, you can get the parts legally too. Oh, damn it. Okay. Caught up. Of particular interest to me was 2003. Actually, this was about a month or so after I met Fixed Bayonets, the infamous got thrown out of a bar story. I don't want to go to YouTube prison today, so of course I'm not going to say what she said. But at any rate, about a month or so later, me and maybe it was a few months, me and Brent were talking about this subject, and he shows me an advertisement for an automatic bolt, the bolt carrier for an M16 being sold in Brown. It wasn't Brownells. It wasn't not cheaper than dirt. Who the hell was selling it? Oh, yes. Yes, it was cheaper than dirt. Cheaper than dirt was openly selling automatic bolt carriers for AR-15. What? Wait, what do you mean? So I called the local ATF office and I said, I think a crime is being committed here. The agent I spoke to, and I'll never forget, his name was Brewer, because I was serving with a guy named Brewer, and I kind of wondered if maybe they were related somehow. Said, no, that's perfectly fine. Now, he did tell me that there were some caveats, one of which I flippantly said to him, well, maybe I'll get one. He said, okay. For what? Research and development. Brent had not started his business yet. Okay, well, that's a specific type. It's dealer sample, I think was the word he used. and that it would allow me to have one. No problem. Uh, the nature of Luke's job does have him working harder in summer than winter. Much harder in summer than winter. Um, and of course, a gun is going to be more popular if it's given away for free. Ladies and gentlemen, the AK-47 is not extremely popular worldwide because it is a good gun. It has nothing to do with it. It is extremely popular worldwide because it was the hard currency of Socialist Brotherhood. Is that the right term? Was it Socialist or Communist Brotherhood? And the Russians would give them, literally dump them by the millions on anybody who said, we will do business with you and not the United States. Which is how they ended up arming both sides in several conflicts. Um, yeah. They would just give them away by the fucking truckloads. The myth of the Viet Cong guerrilla reutilizing captured American equipment, that's just that. It's a myth. Yes, if they got an American M16, they would use it until they could get an AK because that's what they had the supply chain for. Most people don't realize that. Hey, Shadow. Woohoo. Okay, this is good. This is true. International socialists or national socialists. And because I'm not afraid of fuck you, Susan, I want to say Nazis are still socialists. That is true. That is true. Oh, Shadow, I'm sorry. I have not gotten to see Hawk Talk, and it's one word. It's one word. Okay, moving on. I will never stop saying that until you start doing it. I'm going to guess that Shadow just got off. No, that's not possible. Everybody say a prayer for Shadow. He's got a situation at home where him and all of his neighbors have a situation where their little world has gone very, very sideways. Sideways enough that if it were me, I'd probably be in jail right now. Well, I don't know. It's been going on for about 12 hours now. I'd probably be out of jail or not eligible for bail because I'd be down in somebody's office. And how bad the situation gets depends on how badly the person on the other side of the counter handles the fact that I'm actually pissed, and rightfully so. Okay, good. So you can hold off on those prayers for a moment. Apparently the situation has resolved. Tyrion means. Okay, we got a little bit of of socialism bashing going on in the chat, and it's not all wrong, and it's certainly a long way from lies. I do want to point something out, folks, especially Shadow, Luke, and a few other who might be coming in here who are young enough to still have a life, a very long life of paying a lot of taxes ahead of them. The first truly socialist program in the United States actually was Social Security. So we're going to move on to the second one. The second one was the school lunch program that gets so much crap. Before you bash on something, you probably should know as much about it as you possibly can, because you're about to learn something very interesting. At the start of World War II, about 25% of draftees were rejected for military service. They were rejected because they had suffered from various types of malnutrition. Now, of that 25%, most of them got shipped off to a fat farm where they were fed basically 24/7, right? Try to build up their bodies so that they could potentially be drafted. Of that group, I think 75% they were able to rebuild them so that they could serve. There was still some whose bodies were just so destroyed from childhood malnutrition that they could never serve, and they would die farmers, like their father and their father before them, on ruined Dust Bowl farms, mostly. This is not my opinion. This was the testimony of the general who was in command of the draft boards, all of them, and a doctor who had worked on the draft board committee. Anyway, that was their opinion. A 2-star general and a doctor who was an expert in human physiology. From their testimony before Congress is where the school lunch program came from. Now, it has been hijacked. I'll just say it the way it is. It's been hijacked by people with specifically malicious intent in mind to hurt kids. Yeah, I said that too. Fuck you, Susan. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I got to catch up with the chat for a second. All right. Before you bash on something, you probably should find out literally everything about it you could ever hope to learn. And just for shits and giggles, try looking a little deeper. You might find that everything you'd been told your entire life is wrong. All right. I have never heard of a Blue Eagle program, but apparently the Nazis built their plan on Blue Eagle. Since this is the first time hearing of Blue Eagle, okay, now, Ozzy, come on. Folks, Ozzy is absolutely convinced that society is going to collapse. I am not. I believe it's possible. That's a big system to try to collapse. And by the way, you got to collapse the whole thing within just a few days, or it will rebound. It will recover. And I'll tell you something else. There are redundancies in our system, one of which the Romans had as well. The Romans had their local warlords, civi, by the way, who represented them basically at the county level, what we would call the county level now. They became reeves to the shires, whose jobs was to collect taxes within their shire. And over the intervening 12 or so hundred years, the civi success, ideological successor, the reeves of the shires, the word was contracted into one, the sheriff. The sheriff is still a widely positioned duty throughout the world. I defy you to find anything between a city and a state or equivalent. Well, first of all, any country that doesn't have an equivalent concept, there's one. There is exactly one I know of. It's Japan. And second of all, and does not have some analog to the sheriff. Japan still has an analog to the sheriff. A local warlord whose job is to enforce the emperor or the king or the president or the czar, the Kaiser, the queen's peace. First and foremost, just enforce the king's peace. It's either or at this point. Look up liberal fascism. I've heard of that book, Ozzy. Okay, Shadow says you need to just eliminate one region's major supply chain to make the others lose faith. No, you have to eliminate one region's major supply. Any one major supply. And I got a particular major supply, which, you know what? I'm going to hop onto Discord after this. Maybe hang out on my channel for about 10, 15 minutes. Ozzy, can you put up... Oh, Ozzy can't do that. He can't get that link. Okay, guys. I'm ready. Oh, Macy, Luke, Shadow... You missed the world's worst mass shooter ever. Like he was just that bad. Hold up, guys. I'm getting a personal message on. Oh, Warp. I hope we can fix that later. Oh, here we go. Invite. Whoops. Wrong tab. Wrong button. Hey, Warp, I will be on voice for a few minutes after the chat. Or after the stream, okay? I did see that. I just wasn't on Discord at the moment, so of course I missed it. Oh, Warp, go check out the pinned chat comment. It's fucking awesome. It's from Donut Operator. It was beautiful. Now I'm worried there, Warsaw. Just joking. All right. Oh God. Give me a second. School just let out. Well, sorry, Warp. What was I saying? Yes, there is a way to collapse a worldwide society, but it'll bounce back in about worst case scenario in about 6 months. Or we'll all be dead and it won't matter. One way or the other. Okay, if anybody has questions about mandatory carry, I'm going to continue for another 15-ish minutes. And then I'm going to take a 10-minute break so that I can get something to eat because I haven't eaten since lunch. And then I'm going to be on Discord for a little bit at least. Okay, I knew the Warsaw Patriot, California right now is getting their asses chewed out for violating PLACA. I knew that they were in some sort of trouble, but I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what it is. Gun ad ban. Supreme Court there, the 9th District is hearing it. 9th District has been all over the road with Second Amendment cases. Let's see what they say first. Good night, Luke. Thank you for coming. So I should probably look into that PLACA thing. Honestly, I don't remember seeing that word before in my life. Yeah, Warp, if you could send me that as a link in Discord, I'd like to take a look at that. It's live now. I'm not going to be seeing it right now. Is it Runkle or somebody else? We love you, Susan. You cunt. Okay. I am caught up after all. I am going to say something else in the hopes that one particular individual is watching this. When you're dealing with people over the internet, if they want money out of you, they need to do something to prove that they should be getting the money. If they're not willing to prove that there's a reason you should be giving them the money, don't send it. That's pretty basic information. Runkle is dealing with a California case. Okay, guys. Warp, can you send me that link very, very quickly on Discord? I don't care if you send it private, public, something else. Get it to me. And then maybe we'll watch it together on Discord. I don't know. Figure that part out in a minute. But I am going to drop that unless Ozzy can get it in there faster. Oh, wait a second. I did it dumb. I could find it myself. Run Cole of the Bailey. Ha. Thank you for letting me know that that is a situation that has come up. Appeals Court, 9th Circuit. Here's California gun ban. Copy link. Wrong tab. Wrong tab. I see you sent it. But I already had it by then. Let's try that again. Motherfuckers. Nobody but nobody knows less about how to make computers work than computer programmers. Software engineers, as you like to call yourselves. All right, guys. I'm going to ask you to, as soon as we wrap up here, which will be in about 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, hop on over to Runkle and, yeah, keep an eye on that. There's not a lot of attorneys I really, really do trust. Runkle is one of them because he's not a practicing courtroom attorney anymore. He's still got a attorney's privileges and his law license, but he doesn't step in courtrooms anymore for a reason. Rotation of your location. Macy, you gonna go check out that Runkle thing, right? Right. But the only person who has an excuse to not be there right now is Luke, because he had to bail before he could see it. Even if you only watch like 2 or 3 minutes of it. Oh, yeah. Let's change the subject, please. All right. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there so you can get over there. Go. What is Runkle? Is Runkle of the Bailey. Ian Runkle, he's an attorney who covers guns, amongst everything else. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Keep calm. Mandatory carry on. Thank you, Warp. I appreciate that. Go.